All right, so now we've got about 13 minutes for questions. I think you all know my rules for questions, but they are as followed anyway. Questions in the form of a question. Questions are one-part questions. Questions are as short as possible, so we can get to as many questions as possible. We have microphones here and here. If you have mobility issues, raise your hand. We'll make sure a microphone gets to you, but otherwise come up to them and go.
Hello. The Hugos in China and censorship, what the fuck? How do we go forward?
Okay, so for the folks of you who have no idea, because you're not that kind of nerd, I'm not questioning whether you are a nerd because you are on the boat. The Hugos last year were in Chengdu, China. Apparently the WorldCon was fine. The Hugos were massively gamed. There's bluntly no other way to put it. People who were on the ballot there are people who were not on the ballot should have absolutely been on the ballot. There were people who were on the ballot who should not have been on the ballot. And then there were some folks who were removed from the ballot when there was no logical reason for them to be removed. It all came down to, as far as we can tell, the Hugo Administrating Committee making decisions because they wanted, because basically they did the CCP's job for them. They'd be like, well, this will make the Chinese unhappy. Let's just remove it from the ballot. There's no way to soft shoe this one or to soft pedal it. It was a fuck up of massive proportions. It shouldn't have happened. It's an absolute travesty and a tragedy. And quite frankly, the people who weren't nominated were robbed. The people who were finalists were taken advantage of, and the people who won now have asterisks against their Hugos. At least one person, Adrian Tchaikovsky, had said, "I will no longer consider myself to be a Hugo winner because I cannot, in good conscience, do this." And there are others who is like, "Well, I will keep the award that they have given me as a testament to human folly," which is again perfectly fine because none of the people who were given Hugos did not deserve the award because all their work was good. But when it comes right down to it, the entire year was a loss. And there's no point for anybody who cares about the Hugos or loves the Hugos to say anything other than that. Last year was a disaster. So the good news is, one, none of the people who were on the Hugo Administrator thing are on anymore. They're pretty much basically toast. The people who are running it in Glasgow this year made a commitment to openness and transparency, to let people know if things were disqualified from the ballot, why they were disqualified from the ballot, as soon as the finalist list came out, so there was no surprises. Have committed to making sure that every step of the way people can see that they are being administered fairly and that there aren't any problems with that. So that's the short-term solution. The Hugo Awards for the year after that, which will be at the WorldCon in Seattle, have pretty much done the same thing. For the next 2 years, we know that the Hugos will be fairly run and administered. The longer-term solution, and we're getting really into the weeds here, is that there will have to be people who go to the business meetings that happen at the WorldCon to change how the Hugos are administered, so this sort of egregious fuck-up cannot happen again. So the thing that I always tell people is that the community of science fiction and fantasy fandom cares too much about the Hugos to let this sort of thing happen. We had a similar but different thing happen about 10 years ago where a group of politically motivated writers came in and tried to game the awards. It's the Sad Puppies thing. As a result of that, they made changes to how the awards were administered. This is the same thing. It's like no one imagined that somebody would do what happened at the Hugos because it has never happened before. But now that it's for the same reason, like, did you know, the stuff on coffee cups and now says coffee is hot? For the same reason that those are there, we now have to institute those rules. I have, and I want to, speaking personally, but as someone who has been associated with science fiction and fandom, who has run his own award ceremony as the president of SIFWA, and who's won Hugos. I have every confidence in Nicholas White, who's the Hugo administrator this year, and his group of people. They will run the Hugos impeachably this year. Into 2025, I have the same confidence will happen as well. And so whoever gets is a finalist this year will deserve to have been a finalist. Whoever wins will have deserved to win. And I have every confidence that what we will see is 2023 is an egregious blip that won't happen again. So that's where we are with that. Next question.
Thank you.
More whimsical, between sentient yogurt, moons made of cheese, and time-traveling cheese, anything significant to your dairy motif?
Do I have a dairy motif? I don't really have a dairy motif, but I just, the thing is that, I mean, cheese is awesome. Cheese is awesome. I love cheese. I don't know what I would do if I was lactose intolerant. I love ice cream. I love yogurt. I mean, just the whole dairy thing. I guess I'm an uber mammal. You know what I mean? It just works for me. So, next question.
Short answer, I think. At the end of Android's dream, did
Yeah.
the two protagonists hook up and live happily ever after?
Sure, why not?
I don't know how dark the cheese story is going to get, but to troll Neil Stevenson, would you call it 7 Cheese?
Could you repeat that?
Would you call the story 7 Cheese to troll Neil Stevenson?
7 cheese. I see, you made a pun.
You can still use it.
For God's sake, someone else ask a question. Go ahead.
All right, I'll go again if no one else is here. I really like Slow Time Between the Stars.
Yeah.
It seems like that was part of a collection of stories on Amazon that had a lot of former and current JoCo guests.
Yes.
Is there any sort of story behind that? Are you secretly pulling the strings at a giant billion-dollar, trillion-dollar corporation?
No. I actually cannot be, I cannot take any credit for that at all. That is all the editor, John Joseph Adams. He made the selection. I will say, having so many people in that collection, so James S.A. Corey, who's here, Ty Frank is here this year, Nady Okorafor, and just the people that we've had on the cruise, being part of that is kind of great. And I know that it did very well for Amazon. Amazon sent us, because Ty and I were talking about it last night, they sent us an award that is called like the Summit Award, which is like what you get when your story has been downloaded like 250,000 times. It's like getting a gold record, but for Amazon singles. And I was like, well, this is in fact the closest I will ever get to having a gold record, so why the hell not? So.
Hi. When you're writing, do you have any consideration to the length of your book? Because my wife and I use your audiobooks as our road trip.
Yeah.
To the point that it's now a unit of distance.
A Scalzi is a unit?
Like Portland to San Francisco is roughly 1 Scalzi.
I was about to say, so you know a Scalzi is a unit of length, right? So here's a fun, I will answer your question. Here's a fun fact that, so in addition now apparently to being a unit of measurement for distance, there is in fact a unit of, a Scalzi is also a unit of weight, because at a convention Capricorn like 12 years ago, they made this massive scale and they put me on one side and they kept stacking 12 packs of Coke Zero on the other until they balanced out, and it was something like 18. I had an extra big burrito that day, so my books are contractually specified at a length of 90,000 words plus or minus 10%, and if I go below that, then I need to bump it up. If I go over that, I need to let them know in advance. But they're contracted to be a particular length, and that usually comes to about anywhere from 7 to 10 hours in audio. So yeah, it makes it for good for a road trip. There are some books, like if you get a Brandon Sanderson one, yeah, you could conceive and birth a child before that audio was done. Yeah, so.
Time permitting, and because it's such a delightful story, could you tell people who haven't heard how you met Krissy?
Has anyone here not heard the How I Met Krissy story?
There are new cruisers.
I mean, okay, and then also, do any of you who have heard it before really have an objection to hearing it? Because I will tell it. So I will tell the short version of this so that we can get to some of the other questions that are here as well. But the short version of this is back in 1993, I was a reporter at the Fresno Bee newspaper, and I was doing a story on a local DJ. Yes, Fresno representation. Central California! You want to get that? Here, just right there. That's going on the cover of JoCo Cruise 2025. So I was doing a story on a local DJ, and day in the life of a local DJ, because it's a feature story. That's sort of the thing that you do. And one of the things they did was they went down to this bar called Marco Polo Bar in Visalia, California, and basically did a dance. And she was Julie Logan, the DJ, was putting CDs in the CD player, because that's what we did back in the day. And I was like, well, I see what she's going to be doing for the next 3 hours. I might as well dance, because unlike most straight white men, I had 2 years of jazz and modern. So I can dance while completely sober. And I was just going, hey, would you like to dance? Hey, would you like to dance? Hey, would you like to dance? And so I was just out there dancing with them, just to dance, because I like to dance. And unbeknownst to me, Krissy came into the bar with her date. And the date wouldn't dance, because he was a loser. And she saw me dancing and was like, that. And so I'm literally, at one point, standing up against a wall with my Coke, and the most beautiful woman I have ever seen in person in my life, and I will note that I was interviewing movie stars at the time, so I had a high bar, was coming directly for me, and only the fact that I knew there was a wall behind me did not keep me from going, like, who's she coming for? Because that dude's gonna have a happy night. She comes right there, and she says, I saw you dancing. You and I should dance sometime tonight. To which I said, now is good. Because I'm not a fool. I might be a nerd, but I knew not to screw that one up. And so we went out and we danced, and it was to the Cure Friday, I'm in Love. And we danced for the rest of the night. And then she was leaving with her date. I gave her my card and said, this was fabulous. Let's do this again sometime. And she said, great. And honey, how long was it until you called me? How long? 3 weeks. 3 weeks! 3 weeks! I was so alone. I thought I had given her someone else's business card, and some other dude was having my date. I was just like, oh no, I'll never see her again. Then she called, and she goes, hi, this is Christine. I don't know if you remember me. And I'm like, the beautiful brown-haired woman I went dancing with 3 weeks ago. Yes, hi, how are you? We went on our first date on June 16th, 1993. I proposed to her in my newspaper column on June 15th, 1994. We got married June 17th, 1995, which means we've been married for 29 years. And this is the reason that you have a nerd prom, because I come on the boat and I want to be able to dance with my wife with the songs that we used to dance to. All right, last question. I'll get the rest of you. Just come and find me later.
Hello, John.
Hello. How are
Have you ever encountered a bad idea that you just couldn't hack?
Encountered a bad idea that
Encountered a bad idea that you just couldn't hack?
as opposed to all the bad ideas that I actually
That you
do
just
have. Is this a challenge, Paul?
Yes.
Yes. I like I said, I think my secret power is taking ideas that people otherwise are like, no, this is just a really bad idea, and just be like, watch, right? That said, there have been some things that I have not thought through all the way, and that I had to stop writing simply because I just didn't know where to go with it yet. So they're not that I won't come around to them. I will eventually vanquish them, and make them my Shar-Pei. But but there are other things that I have to do in the interim. The moon story, the thing that I wrote you today, or that I read to you today, I was actually going to write like 2 or 3 books ago, and I just wasn't in a place where I was ready to do that. I'm still flying on the seat of my pants, because Krissy was right. This is a bullshit, this is a bullshit topic. And I'm also doing it in a very weird way, that every chapter, because there's going to be a chapter for every day of the lunar cycle, it's like an old Bradbury fix-up. There's like each of this is going to be like a short story in itself with its own main character. It's all going to have a narrative thread, but all of that sort of stuff, I've got to get it done in 6 weeks, and I'm on chapter 3. So well done, me. All right, thank you, everybody. Mara Wilson is coming next in this room. Please stick around for her, because she's going to be awesome.